second. So I'm going to introduce myself and then you, and then we're going to take it from there.
Perfect.
All right, we got it. Good evening, Facebook land, friends and family all across the globe. Thank you for tuning in today. Happy Friday. 1 second, I've got a feedback. Have feedback. Hold on. Okay, there we go. All right. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Yep.
Good. Good evening again. Happy Friday. This is Sandy here once again on The Voice. I just have a feedback. I don't know where I'm getting the feedback from. 1 second.
That's annoying when that happens.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry about that. This is Sandy here once again on The Voice, live with Sandy, giving a voice to the voiceless and speaking about topics many of our past generations did not want to do or did not know how to do. And this is our 5th episode of a 10-part series of letting go and finding your sparkle. In this session, we will try to speak of various topics of things that we can let go of and ways to make them happen so that we can find our sparkle again. On this episode, we have a very special guest, Kendall from Australia, all the way in Australia, who will be helping us to let go of fat diets and love ourselves again, as well as giving away, she's going to be giving away a free healthy eating and intuition guide. Kate is a holistic and health wellness coach. She has 20 years of experience working in the corporate Australia, and also she's almost a decade running her own business. Kate understands the stress of business as an executive and the pressures of being an entrepreneur, just like me. Kate uses her expertise to support businesswomen and executives to focus on their mental and emotional well-being, along with their physical health. Over the past decade, Kate has helped women women love whom they see in the mirror. She's helped women to love themselves and love themselves what they see in the mirror and get their mojo to step into their strength and power. She helps women to have confidence in themselves, to strive in business, career, and relationship. Kate is a life coach, emotional wellness coach. She is the core clearing breathwork practitioner, a personal trainer, a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, timeline therapy, and meditation practitioner. Wow, that was a mouthful. What an impressive resume. Welcome, Kate, and happy Saturday morning to you. It's our Friday evening here in Toronto. So it's nice to see you again and to catch up with you again. For a couple of months, we haven't spoken to each other. And thank you for being a guest on The Voice Live with Sandy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you so much for your beautiful intro. And yes, it was a bit of a mouthful for you. You did very well. And hello, everyone watching over in Toronto or around the world. Yeah, it's Saturday morning here in Australia. I'm based on the sunny Gold Coast in Australia, which is the north of the country. So yeah, hello to everyone watching in.
Nice. So I'm so happy that you're here. So we're going to be talking about how we're going to get rid of the fad diets and to find our sparkle, find ourselves again. So let's begin with a few questions that I have for you.
Sure.
What inspired you to ditch dieting and adopt a non-diet approach to wellness and become a coach, helping women love whom they see in the mirror?
Yeah, perfect. And I love that question because it was a journey I've been on myself. Like I remember from such a young age, just, feeling like I was the fat one at school. And my mum did, dieting all her life. And it's interesting how you take on that, that behaviors and that patterns, and how mum used to see herself and call herself fat and all that kind of stuff. So I was a bit of a tomboy at school, and, my girlfriends were all the good looking ones. And, here I was feeling that I was the, this fat chubby one, and, started to create these behaviors, all through my kind of teen into my 20s, kind of years. And I would go on the diets. I'd go on the shake diets, the 𝓕𝓪𝓭 diet. There was a soup diets. There was, you name it. There was, something that I would go on, and I tested it. I'd try it. I'd lose the weight, and then I'd gain it back and some. And then how would I feel? I'd feel rubbish. I'd feel terrible. My body would be yelling at me and my mind was yelling at me. My emotions were upset because I had so much shame and guilt, and, the list goes on, right? And that just, really, I just realized that dietings weren't sustainable for me personally, long term, and that they were causing a lot of harm, more harm than good. And I just wanted to find ways to prioritize my own health without dealing with the guilt and shame and the restrictions all the time. So that's where it kind of led to me going on my own emotional journey, because it all comes down to a lot of the emotions, the reactions, the responses that we have in our life, which we use food and diets, and all the the reactions to things that happen in life is how we is our relationship with food, alcohol, drugs, all those kind of things. So those things that suppress our emotions, which are then stored and we aren't managing. So that's how I kind of got into it. And I love empowering women to love who they see in the mirror and work from the inside out.
Yeah, I know. I was doing. I mean, we've all done that. I've tried so many different things, and when I started getting the health issues and didn't know what it was about, I kind of got into different diets, trying to figure out what was wrong with my body, not knowing that I had celiac, I had hypothyroidism, and all those things. So the dieting definitely didn't work for me. So how have you seen the diet industry change over the years, and what do you think is driving these changes?
Yeah, it's a good question, because the industry has changed, and some of it will still stay the same. And there's that quick fix, that dopamine hit of getting results straight away. And which diet, like, don't get me wrong, some diets do work, but the thing is, they're not long-term sustainable. And the biggest thing that happens, is people don't know how to transition off those diets. And when they're going so extreme, like the keto diet, I have clients that I speak to that have, said, oh, I've done keto and it really worked for me. Did it? Because they've actually gone, they've gained the weight back, they've gone back to their old habits, back to their old ways. So yes, they did work for a short period of time, but they can't be sustained. And a lot of people don't know how to transition into how to live a normal life and be able to eat with their family, to go out and have the life that they desire, and those types of things. So that's where it's really, really challenging. But I just wanted to touch on that some of them are really good kickstarters for people. It's really grounding people into, and what I do with some of the stuff that I do, I don't have quick fixes, but it's a lot of changes into whole foods and the foods that we're eating, but not doing real dramatic changes, so that you can adjust and build that into your habits and behaviors. But the industry, the trends, they come and go. That's the thing, right? So it's high, we look at the keto. That was such a fad for such a long time. We're not hearing as much about that. But then there's the isogenics, and, I don't mind the isogenics products, and it's some of those types of things. They do help some people to, fill in and get some more protein in their diet and things like that. But they're just fads, right? And they're not, once again, helping people to eat the foods and learn how to eat foods properly. You can't just continue to have shakes for the rest of your life, right? But the underlying message, I think, is that still the same, but we need to be there's social media is having people and women feel that they've got to be thin in order to feel feel healthy and feel happy, right? And I think there's just more awareness that's coming out with people like me as coaches now about the harms of the dieting and harms of that, not just for the body, but for their mental and emotional health. That's the biggest problem, because there's, you know, when you're feeling like you're failing all the time, that's a lot of emotional trauma for the body. But there's still, you know, it still is a long way to go in the terms of promoting body positivity and diversity, you know, in the wellness industry. But I think we're heading in the right direction. I don't think the quick fix sales, you know, the promoting of, you know, these products and pills and surgeries and all those things as quick fixes, easy solutions for people. I don't know if they'll ever go away, but the awareness, I think, is going to be a lot different, and there's not going to be as much you know, hopefully there won't be as much body shaming and more love for our bodies.
Yeah, I think that's getting much better now, especially with the younger generation. So can you explain what intuitive eating is and how it differs from traditional dieting?
Yeah, absolutely. Intuitive eating, like I came upon this a few years back, and what I try to teach my women and for myself, intuitive eating is about listening to your body's natural hungers and actually like fullness. So, you know, what are those signals? Because so often we're not, you know, we eat because we, you know, eat breakfast because we, you know, that's what we have to do. We eat breakfast, we have lunch, we have, you know, have dinner, and, you know, all those kind of things. There's that kind of style of eating is still what it's about, finding what's going to work for the individual. That's what I like, you know, finding for people is what's going to work, you know, work for people. But sometimes you actually need your body to, know, are you actually hungry? What are the signals that your body is giving? And eating based on what feels good and is nourishing, rather than actually following strict rules or you know, calorie limits or those types of things. I think it's really important to understand what are in your foods. That's what I like to show women, what are you actually eating? What are you putting in your body? And what is your body saying when you actually eat those foods, right? When your body actually goes, oh, my stomach's grumbling, or I feel a bit sick, you know, it can be the oils that you're eating. It can be the fats that are in the foods that you're not, you know, it's the process, or the, you know, the gluten, or the whatever it might be, because there's so much process. You know, I was listening to something this morning about a guy was talking about, he wanted a low sugar can of drink that had some flavor in it, and it had stevia in it, which is, you know, says that stevia is a natural sweetener, and then it's natural flavors. There's about, I think it was 70 toxins are put into process, because the natural, and it's not actually listed on the actual products, but to put the natural flavors into something, it has to go through a process of 70 chemicals to get that to happen, right? So here we are thinking that things that we're having are natural and healthy, but aren't necessarily healthy. So it's, you know, I've kind of gone away from the intuitive side, but it's still, your body's telling you things when you are actually, you know, your body's reacting to things. And this is what this guy had said. He goes, I wasn't feeling great. I was foggy in the head. I was felt like I was not feeling well after having these drinks. And so he stopped having it, had looked further into it, and that was what it was. And the fogginess went away, and the headaches and everything went away. So his body told him that something's in that, something's changed. So that's what being intuitive about what you're having, and about trusting yourself to make, you know, the right choices for your body, rather than relying on external cues, or, you know, or authorities telling us that's the way we've got to, you know, do things.
Yeah, that really resonates with me, because about 2 weeks ago, I think I was talking about letting go of foods that are causing us soreness and stiffness and things like that. I actually was talking about that 2 weeks ago, and I was trying to explain, and I didn't realize it's called intuitive eating. I love that. I'm gonna use that, because what was happening to me was, I didn't know that I had like celiac, and every time I ate anything with gluten, I can feel the soreness, and I knew something was wrong. The soreness, the pain, the limbs were like, I couldn't even touch my fingertips. They would hurt. And I didn't know what it was, because all my life we're from an Indian background. We eat rotis and all breads and all kinds of stuff, right? So I ate that all my life. I never thought that that's what I had. And
And
it took about 2 years to figure it out, right?
figure it out.
And if and I knew something was wrong. I knew that it was something that I was eating, because every time I
And you've
ate
got to
certain
trust,
things, I
you've got to
felt like
trust
that.
your
So
intuition with it. Yeah.
yeah. So how can someone who has been dieting for years start to adopt a more intuitive approach to eating? Like I
Yeah.
said, me with the flour, right? With the rotis.
Yeah. Just, it's a gradual process, right? We're not going to go magically all of a sudden understand everything that's going on, but the first step is to start tuning into your body signals. So you felt unwell because, what I noticed is a lot of people go, oh, we're just getting older. Oh, it's just how it is, right? And I think, being aware of if you're saying that, just because we're getting older and just because, it's in the family or this and that, doesn't mean you have to settle with that, and that is actually what's going on for you. And listening to your body signs, paying attention to how different foods actually make you feel, right? Because sometimes we can get used to feeling crap and terrible and just go, oh, well, that's how it is, that's it's just how it is, right? Which it doesn't have to be that way. Through food and different ways of looking after your body and your mind, so you'll be able to learn how to feel good again, right? And food is just such a massive impact on our emotional, mental and physical health. And just also trying to let go of the guilt and the shame around your food choices and focus on enjoying what you eat and take care of yourself in a holistic way, is because the shame and the guilt is actually, I always say to my ladies, that is more unhealthy than you actually having a burger and chips and then actually enjoying it and enjoy every mouthful of it, and then feeling guilty, beating yourself up and all shaming yourself for, oh, I'm an idiot, I'm a fatso, why did I do that, all those kind of repeated stories. No wonder where women are so upset and hate how they feel and look, by when we're treating us. So you wouldn't even speak to your your worst enemy like we do to ourselves, So it's got to change for a lot of people.
Definitely. So what are some of the common myths or misconceptions about ditching these diets? And then how would you like to debunk that?
Yeah, cool. So one myth is, that you'll automatically gain weight if you stop dieting. Okay, so, but the thing is, reality, your body will find its natural, set point, and you may even settle at a lower weight without, the stress of dieting. Because jumping on the scales, how often? Like, let me know in the chat if this is you, because I'm putting my hand up every time that I would jump on the scales and it didn't show me what I actually wanted to see. But I felt good. I looked in, I felt healthy. I felt good. And then I jumped on the scale told me I was a kilo or two heavier.
Yeah.
And my whole day would be ruined because I'm like, this sucks. This, I've, been really good and rah-de-rah, and then there's that shame, good and bad, and, that you're terrible and I'm on, off the roll, you get on and off the roller coaster, and it's heavy talking about it, when that feeling of heaviness around it. And, the stress on the body, stress is the cortisol, that then leads to eating more foods and or starving ourselves, which when you're starving yourself, when you stress, is not a good combination. So, but another myth is that intuitive eating is just an excuse to eat junk food all the time. But in reality, it's about finding a balanced and sustainable way to actually be eating, eating the way that works for you. And, I'm all for not pulling out ice cream. If you want to have an ice cream, have an ice cream. If you want to have a bag of chips, have a bag of chips if you want to have that. But it's about balancing it out. You can't have that every day and every week if you want to get results and you want to feel healthy. It's all, there's too many additives in all of these foods that are making us sick. So yeah, it's just finding that balance and listening to your body. Yeah. And working on the, we won't go into the emotion side of it too much because I know we don't have enough time, and I can get really excited about talking about the emotional side because the emotional side is just so important. And understanding your emotions, because we, instead of using food as the go-to, because it's that instant gratification and comfort that food gives people, and it's how do we manage those emotions so that we're not then piling it up with then food, which then amplifies the emotions again. So
Yeah, a lot of people like do have emotional eating habits, right? Some
binging
people might
and
not eat when they're upset, and some people might binge eat when they're upset. I'm the kind of person, if I'm upset, I don't want food. I can't look at food. So how can we start to shift our cultural mindsets away from dieting and towards the more inclusive and accepting approach to health and wellness?
Yeah, cool. I think it starts with promoting diverse representation in the wellness industry and really celebrating all styles of bodies and lifestyles. So, cultural differences, everyone's different, everyone's body's different. We're all different shapes and sizes. People, some have had kids, some have, haven't had kids. Everyone's body is so different. And, we also need to, challenge the awareness around the message that, is it's through the media, right, and the dieting industry, and it focuses on promoting how you look instead of like how do we feel, and how is that holistic concept that includes mental, emotional and physical well-being and happiness. Because if we're focusing on so wholly on the body weight and the fat and the scales, it takes away from actually enjoying the process and who you become. And that, it's about changing identities. It's about, looking at looking at how you can bring it into the lifestyle and how much do you value that. A lot of people want it to be a value in their life, their health and their wellness, but actually it's not a value because you're not actually doing the things that show that you value it, right? So it's about if you do want to flip that, it's like, okay, what needs to happen to actually have that as a real value, and the importance, because if we don't have our health, if we don't have our mental health, our physical health and our body functioning well, life is, the rest of the relationships, work, career, all those things are, and the leadership as a parent, or if you don't have kids like myself, we're still a leader. We're still, we're still showing up in our worlds as the best version as we can. And I think women want to lose weight, but I work on other things. And when you can feel that feeling of coming home to who you truly are and what works for you and not worrying about what everyone else is doing, that's where the magic happens. And it's freeing to find their own way and their own journey.
Yeah, I the one thing that I get a lot of questions on is, how do you handle the craving? So how do you handle the craving and the impulses when you're not following a strict diet? Like you said, it's a good balance, right? So how do you handle that craving and keep that balance?
Yeah, it's once again, it's about being in tune with your body. Okay, sometimes it's water, that we're not having enough water, because we can actually, be thinking that we're actually hungry and we're actually not hungry, we're actually dehydrated, and finding actual ways to nourish yourself and that's enjoyable, because cravings generally are an emotion that you're not nurturing, and that part of you that might, you might be saying to yourself, oh, I'm bored, I'm going to go eat something, or I'm sad, so I'm going to go eat something, or you're not eating enough protein, or you're not having enough fiber in your diet. And when people don't actually, aren't actually eating totally and skipping meals all the time and all that kind of stuff because they're dieting and things like that, and not actually listening to their body properly, they're actually not nourishing their body enough. And that's where the cravings come from. If you're having enough protein and fiber and in your diet, you generally don't. I know when I haven't had enough carbs, healthy carbs, my protein and my fiber in my diet, if I don't have a balance, I crave, the sugars or processed, more processed foods, pastas and those types of things. And, it's, sometimes it might be that just having a small portion of something rather than, eliminating it totally and finding a healthier alternative that still hits a spot. Because a lot of the foods, I've had things that my clients said, but I love this. Okay, well, let's make a healthier version of that. So you're not missing out totally, but you can have a healthier version and it tastes just as, delicious. The thing is, takeaways and, highly processed foods are all full of sugars and full of salts. So people find that when they're going on the healthier journey at first, that the foods aren't tasty enough, but it's actually because they're so used to the additives. Once you kind of get used to it, you start tasting the real flavors of the herbs and all those kind of things. So and journaling is also a really good way to go, okay, well, am I really craving this? What is actually really going on? And asking yourself questions like, where am I feeling this in my body? And actually stopping.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually what I started doing. I actually have my journal that I had when I started getting sicker and I didn't know what was going on with me. I started writing down everything, and I started writing how I felt when I eat certain things. And that's how my doctor was able to figure out that I had celiac. I mean, they did the tests and stuff afterwards.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, that's what we had to do, was the journaling. And now I have my mom trying to do the journaling, and she keeps forgetting. But I definitely think that she might also have celiac, and she doesn't want to, admit it, because they're so used to eating their foods, right? They're certain things. And so I had her writing down how she felt when she ate a certain things. So how can you share some of the tips or maybe resources for the viewers who are interested in learning more about intuitive eating or non-dieting approach to wellness?
Yeah, sure. There's lots of books and resources out there around, intuitive eating. But I've also got a intuitive eating guide that if you would like a copy of that, please comment below, intuitive eating. And I've also got a 7-step healthy eating guide, which is a basic healthy lifestyle booklet that you're more than welcome to have as well. So comment below if you'd like either of them, or if you like both of them, I'm more than happy to share those with you. And it's also, looking for the books, also helpful to connect with a coach, connect with someone that actually understands this, and can also guide you and help you through this process. Whether it's, I'm more than welcome, I'm more than happy. You can book in a 15-minute free session. We can have a conversation around where you're at and where you want to get to, and maybe what your challenges are. I'm more than happy to offer everyone a free consultation, and we can, go through that process, no obligation or anything like that as well. And, it's just looking into that, non-diet approach. And there's some things in, weight loss and losing weight and body fat and all those kind of things that, there is formulas that work and, help to move that process along. It's just about finding what's going to work for you. But that's my biggest tip. Just start with journaling how your body's feeling, and become awareness is the start of key of change. So if you can become aware of what's actually going on in your body, you're way on the right track.
Definitely. I know. So, definitely. So how do you see your relationship with food and your body changed since you started ditching that dieting?
Yeah. Just become so much more in tune with my, my body's needs and signals, and, learnt to trust it. My body, I haven't gained the weight. I fluctuate up and down depending on what I'm doing. And, hormonally, I'm doing a lot more research around hormonal changes and stuff within the body. But all the foundations and principles are still very similar. We've just got to adjust and adapt and listen to our body. And, if we're eating too much and our bodies, making, like, I sometimes overeat, and because I'm eating fast, or I'm distracted doing things that I, don't normally do. And then my body feels like it's going to expand. I'm like, I've got to slow down and remind myself I've got to slow down. I've got to stay more present, so it's just listening to my, my signs and listening to my body. And I've stayed very consistent. My body composition changes depending on my training and all that kind of stuff. And the way I look at myself is so different to how I used to. I used to walk past mirrors and I wouldn't even, or the shop fronts and stuff, I wouldn't even look at myself. I didn't want to see my reflection. But I look at my body in such a different way now. And, it's our vessel. It's the thing that gets us through life. And if we don't look after it, It affects so many aspects of the life, and it's important for us to do it now, not wait till we have that time where, you know, we've got to do the best we possibly can to look after our body, you know, so that we can live long, you know, age gracefully, live have vitality throughout a life as much as we can. And your age isn't an excuse.
No, definitely. I mean, for me, like, as I got older, I found that it was, you know, things that were slowing me down. And so I have a great group of friends, and we do our, in the mornings, most mornings, we do a 6 kilometer walk.
Oh, good.
And so we get our 10,000 steps. By the time 7:30 goes in the morning, we are already done our 10,000 steps. And one of the things one of my friends said the other day was, we were walking, she says, you know, we are a lot ahead of our parents, because our parents didn't do those things. They didn't take exercise and eating properly into effect in their lives. And so
Yep.
we're a little bit ahead of them in that way. So maybe we will live longer lives than our fathers and our mothers. And that was a good,
Absolutely.
I thought of it, and I didn't think about it before she said it. I didn't, and that's not why we were doing it. We wanted to get more involved with taking care of our bodies, and
Yeah.
didn't realize that, we're a little bit a step ahead of our parents. So what
Yeah,
advice would you
absolutely.
give to someone who's considering ditching the dieting, but is also afraid of gaining the weight or losing control of their eating habits?
Yeah, for sure. And just want to touch on just something you said about the exercise. Exercise is a really big, movement. Doesn't mean you've got to go and train. I say to a lot of the women that come to me, you don't have to train at the gym like I do. I love it. Yes, it helps to build lean muscle and all those kind of things. If you're interested in doing that, that's really great. It's a really great way for mind strength and body strength. But also, I just saw a study that South Australia, which is a state in Australia, which is south of Australia, and they're looking at actually bringing in a solution for depression. Is actually, instead, their studies are showing that exercise is actually they're seeing more results, which doesn't surprise me one little bit, than actually medication, and which I know that anyway, because we're masking a lot of the problems. Yes, some people do need, medication, and, the doctors and stuff are needed for certain reasons, but we're masking problems that are going on within the body, and moving the body, changing the physiology, changes the psychology. And, they're saying it's, and they're actually bringing it in as one of the main solutions for, mental health and depression down in South Australia. Instead of they're getting more results from counselling and actually medication, which is, really cool. So I think it's something that's really, if you're feeling not so great and having, woken up feeling a little bit down, don't ignore that, but also get the body moving, change your physiology, move the body around, get the blood flowing, will actually lift and amplify your mental health and your emotional health. It's so powerful. So just to answer that last question, someone is considering, ditching the dieting and are afraid they're going to gain the weight. It's understanding how, it's understandable if you've got a fear, right, around that, because, that's what's happened for a lot of people in the past. They've stopped doing the dietings and they've gained it back in some. But it's important, just, ladies, just remember that the weight is not always a measure of good health. Okay. And that the pursuit of thinness can actually be harmful for your mental and physical and emotional well-being. As I said before, ditching the dieting doesn't mean that giving up the care for yourself or your health. And, it's the overall wellness is not just about the food, not just about exercise. It's also about self-care, self-love, our spiritual, connection with our mind and our body. That comes down to the intuition side as well. And just finding a more sustainable, holistic approach to your wellness. And it's not a 5-minute solution. This is a lifestyle, and it's a growth as you learn about yourself and, go on that journey of self-discovery, really what it is. Because a lot of trauma and food, people are carrying the weight because of trauma as well. So that's a whole nother factor, because they're using food to mask what's actually, there's been a lot of, you know, a lot of women that I talk to, and even my experience around sexual assault, you know, that's been been a big thing for a lot of women that are carrying a lot of weight. So we've got to work on healing some of these parts of our body and nurturing that part of us. And that's all part of the whole, you know, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah,
Yes,
it's
definitely.
massive.
We definitely need to talk about that, because
Yeah.
I have a very strong belief that trauma and how it affects our body and what we eat and on our health, it definitely goes. I definitely want to have another conversation about that, because as you know, I'm a survivor of sexual abuse, and I find I was the opposite. I never used to eat. I was the skinniest, tiniest person. I got married at the age of 18, and my waist measurement was 19 inches.
Wow.
Because I never used to eat. And you know, like, and it wasn't uncommon for people my age to be so small back home. But you know, like, looking back, it was because I never used to eat properly.
Yeah.
And I hated food.
Yeah. And there's that trauma around, you know, when you go through that process. Anyway, it's a whole new, like,
We will definitely
we'll unpack
do that
another
day.
time.
So, yes.
But it's important to give yourself it's important just to finish that kind of part off. It's important to give yourself grace and compassion as you go on this journey, because a lot of women will go beat themselves up for what they, you know, I've wasted so much time and this and that, I've wasted money, all that kind of stuff. But it's all things that you've learned that didn't work for you. And now we're going to find the way that does work and have you come home to yourself and be happy within your own body. And during, you know, it's just being compassionate with yourself during that process. And it takes time to unlearn habits and behaviors and beliefs that we've amplified and learned over, you know, sometimes 20, 30, 40 years, you know, and it takes one step after the other towards that intuitive, mindful approach to you know, eating and having a healthy body and mind.
Yeah, and definitely finding those things that trigger you, or things that, like me, I have a switch. Every time I eat something, or I feel a certain way, or I know that there's a switch that goes on in my brain and says, okay, that's what it was that's making you feel that way. So just becoming aware, and that's probably one of the reasons why for me was letting go of all those bad foods and those things and finding my sparkle, so which I did. I love Kate, that. Tell our viewers where they can find your programs and in the free guides as well. So you're gonna put it at the
I'll put it below, and I'm actually just putting together the final touches on my next program, which is a group coaching program, which I'm super excited to get started in the next couple of weeks. So if anyone would like to jump on and talk about that, and we're going to go on that journey of self-discovery, learning about foods, learning about our mind and our emotions. So that's going to be coming in the next couple of weeks, that I'll get that started. So I will put the links to come across to my group if you'd like to come across to my group, or a link to booking an appointment as well. So, but I'll send you all the guides, so you've got those as well.
I definitely need that guide myself, for sure.
Yeah, beautiful.
Well, thank you so much, and thank everyone for joining in today to Letting Go and Finding Your Sparkle Again, as we learn to let go every week for the next 8 weeks, so we can find that sparkle. Until next week, have a wonderful weekend and a great week ahead. Thank you so much for joining me on your Saturday morning. It's my Friday evening, so I'm just going to go now and have a beautiful dinner with my husband.
Oh, you enjoy that. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.
I really did enjoy seeing you again too. You know, I always do enjoy talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Have a great evening, everyone watching, and you have a nice time, Sandra. Thank you. Talk soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.